Hey everybody, it's Magical Mustache Man John and Kyle, and today we're talking about the Disney Dream. I got invited to go check out the Disney Dream this past weekend, and it was fantastic. I've never been on the Dream, I've been on the Fantasy, and I've been on the Wish. So I was super excited to check out the sister ship of the Fantasy, and I gotta say, they're slightly different, but also amazing.
So John's travel agency had the opportunity to go tour the Disney Dream while it was in port between sailings. Unfortunately, if you do the tour, you cannot go on the sailing, or else we probably would have just gotten on the boat and stayed on the boat. But you know, it's okay. So before we talk about the Disney Dream, let's take a step back and talk about Disney Cruise Line. Absolutely, I'd say our favorite cruise line, and just a really fantastic experience for anybody looking to go on a cruise. So Disney Cruise Line has a number of ships. They have their oldest ships, the Magic and the Wonder. Those are the smaller ships. And then they have the Fantasy and the Dream, which came out in like 2015-ish, 14. We've been on the Fantasy. We went on a 7-night Caribbean cruise on the Fantasy. It was amazing. And then the Dream is the sister ship. Same layout, slightly different things. So some of the B-roll we'll include in this video will have some from the Fantasy, but most of it is from the Dream from John's tour. And then they have the newer ships, so the Wish, which is sailing out of Port Canaveral, the Treasure, which is sailing out of Port Canaveral, the Destiny, which is coming out this December, which means sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, the Adventure, which is coming out in Singapore. So tons of Disney cruise ships, lots of different layouts and benefits of each of those. Definitely check out our Fantasy and our Wish videos if you kind of want to see the difference between those two types of ships. But we're really excited to talk about the Dream. But I think before we get there, John actually kind of had a pretty cool experience of getting down to Fort Lauderdale, because the Dream is porting out of Fort Lauderdale and doing mostly 5-night Caribbean and Bahamian cruises. A number of double dip cruises, by the way, going to Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay, so definitely check that out. And super close to the Fort Lauderdale airport, the port is, so it's also nice if people are flying in and they want to go on those cruises. So how'd you get down to Fort Lauderdale?
All right, so I actually drove to MCO, which is the airport in Orlando. There's a Brightline station there, and that Brightline station could take you all the way down to Fort Lauderdale in about 2 to 3 hours, depending which train you're taking.
So the Brightline is a high-speed train that is from Orlando all the way to Miami. It was, I don't know, went live a few-ish years ago, or at least extended all the way up to Orlando. So it's a really nice way to get down to southern Florida from Orlando or vice versa. And thought it was just a really good opportunity if anybody's ever thinking about like doing a land and sea cruise and they wanted to like maybe go to Disney World for a little bit, but then they're sailing out of Fort Lauderdale instead of Port Canaveral. We thought it'd be cool to check out the Brightline and see how it was.
Yeah, I have to say it was the easiest thing I've ever been on. Checking in was kind of like an airport. You get through a little scanner, you scan your ticket in, you go put your bags through X-ray, and then once you get through, there's a lounge for you to hang out. If you pay premium, there are like premium lounges where they offer unlimited beverages and food, really nice. And then that's also included on the train. But honestly, that was so comfortable. It took me like 2.5 hours, got on my seat. The Wi-Fi was amazing. I never lost Wi-Fi. You order, if you didn't get the premium, you order your drinks and menu items through the app, and somebody comes down and hands it to you. You never really have to get up. And most importantly, the bathrooms are amazing and clean. So
John has a separate video for the Brightline trip if you want to check that out, just to see what that was like if you're ever thinking about taking the Brightline from southern Florida to Orlando or vice versa.
Yeah. But after getting off on a Brightline, we did take 2 tours of Disney partner hotels at Fort Lauderdale. So I went on the Marriott Harbor Beach, which was beautiful. Wow.
And that's where you stayed too,
Yeah,
right?
that's where I stayed. I love that hotel. It had
nice.
Amazing views. You could just walk into the beach. Amazing. The Hilton Marina was okay. It wasn't my favorite. They're about the same price. If I was to choose one over the other, Marriott for sure. But they're both very close to port. So if you needed to go on a cruise the next day, those two would be the best resorts for you to travel in the morning. And they offer transportation there to the port by Disney.
Yeah, so these are 2 hotels that are specifically listed by Disney Cruise Line as kind of partner hotels. So John wanted to check them out. We'll include some B-roll of the hotels. Also, John can book these hotels as well as part of your, planning your vacation. One thing that's really important, particularly if you're coming into town for a cruise, I would say most people strongly recommend arriving the day before your cruise. Just to account for flight delays, especially coming to Florida, there's afternoon thunderstorms and things get backed up. And so definitely recommend going in a day early and staying at a hotel before you embark on a cruise. I actually saw something online the other day that somebody was stuck in like Raleigh, North Carolina, and could not get their flight out in the morning. They were gonna miss their cruise. They couldn't even drive down in time, and that would just be devastating to not be able to make your cruise because of flight changes and stuff like that. So it's a good idea to have a plan to stay at a hotel. There's a number of other hotels in the area, but those are the two that are recommended by Disney, and they seem pretty nice.
Yeah, and at a decent price, so definitely check those out. Now let's get into the Disney cruise. Let's talk about what I experienced, what I explore. So some of the footage, just disclaimer, I was doing a tour with Disney, so some of the areas I was unable to film, so some of them are not studio ready. So I'm sorry if you didn't get to see some of the footage, but for the most part, everything was up and running. And then people were starting to board, so we were like, all right, let's get this tour going on. We got to check out some rooms, and yeah.
So if you've ever been on Disney Cruise or you think about going on Disney Cruise, I think one of the most distinguishing things about Disney Cruise Line is just the quality of the aesthetic on these ships. I mean, as soon as you enter the atrium and you walk onto that ship, you just feel it immediately. It has that Disney signature touch. It is beautifully appointed. It's well themed, but it's not overtly Disney. And I know that sounds weird on Disney Cruise Line, but it's not like being in the parks where you're just like slammed with IP all the time. There's all these little nods and touches throughout the ship, but it doesn't feel like you're at Magic Kingdom walking around. That being said, you'll be like walking down the hallway and you'll turn the corner, you're like, oh, there's Belle, like doing meet and greets, and like that's really fun and cute, or there's characters walking around. But I think that's something that some people worry about, that it's gonna feel like they're at a theme park on the ship, and that is absolutely not the case. These ships are so beautiful, and they were designed to have this kind of classic 1920s, 1930s ocean liner aesthetic, both outside and inside. I think it really has that, all these kind of polished dark woods and beautiful chandeliers and carpets, and it's just really beautiful. I think the other thing people love about Disney Cruise Line is the food. And so I think this is a perfect time to talk about dining. So something that distinguishes Disney Cruise Line is rotational dining. So you're dining for dinner each night. There's two dinings. There's an early dining, which is like 5:30, late dining, which is 8:15. You rotate through 3 different restaurants. And this is true for every Disney cruise ship. For the Fantasy and the Dream, this is Enchanted Garden, Royal Palace, and Amber's Palate, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But what's really nice about this is you get a different place to eat every night, though you may rotate through them multiple times, obviously, if you're doing more than a 3-night cruise. But your server team stays with you through each restaurant. So they get to know you, they get to know your family, they get to know what you like, what you don't like, your allergies. By night 2, whatever your favorite drink is, or your kid's favorite drink is gonna be sitting on the table waiting for you, or their favorite like little game to play while they're waiting for their food. And so it is something that's really lovely. You get to form a really personal relationship with your diner. Many people will request the same server when they go on future sailings if they're going on the same ship. And so it really builds this bond, which is really fantastic, and I think a really special part about Disney Cruise Line in terms of dining. The food is fantastic, but let's talk about each restaurant. So want to start with Enchanted Garden?
Yes, so Enchanted Garden is American, sort of French food. The aesthetics is like very beautiful, grand plating.
It's like a Versailles like greenhouse, or like a botanical like house. It has like kind of
it has like a beautiful chandelier in the middle, and you guys see images and videos to see this, hard to explain, but it is an amazing atmosphere. A secret to that room though, they do have a Tiana's, I believe that's the one. They have a Tiana's room in the back, which is very beautiful. We got to eat there the first night. Amazing. The atmosphere is just great, and the food is fantastic. And the best part is you can order as much as you want. You can order every entree, you can order every appetizer, even if you don't finish it. Try it all. Amazing. You never know what you're gonna like. Sometimes you'll be like, everybody loves this dish, and then you're like, well, let me try this one too, and then you end up loving both of them because they're so good.
Something that's really cool about Enchanted Garden too is there's a big flower chandelier that slowly like blooms throughout the meal, and also the lighting. It doesn't have any windows, but the lighting from the like ceiling changes from like daytime to nighttime throughout the meal. And so there's just like this like great ambiance that changes. It's beautiful. Also something to note, if you're a vegetarian or plant-based, there are tons of great vegetarian options on Disney Cruise Line. I almost always get one of the vegetarian options for entrees just to try them out, and they're always excellent, if not my favorite sometimes. So definitely good to know if you have, you know, you don't eat meat.
Yes. And on to the next restaurant, which is
Royal Palace.
Royal Palace. Unfortunately, they weren't studio ready, so I wasn't unable to get footage of it, or even explore it. So I didn't really get to see much other than just like a little sad look through the window. But
we eat there on the Fantasy, and I will say it's the least memorable because obviously I don't really remember what it was like. I mean, I remember Enchanted Garden. It was like Royal Palace was kind of like had like an upscale feeling, and but I don't really remember the theme. We'll try to find some B-roll on the from the Fantasy if we can. But again, you're gonna have fantastic options for meals. Also important note, if you do rotate through restaurants more than once, the menu changes the second time you're in there. So it's not you're having the same menu. You have a different menu every single night of the ship, and so that is nice to know.
You might, I mean, they do have the Pirate Night menu.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you're doing Caribbean sailings, you'll have a Pirate Night. The Pirate menu is not great. I would say if that's a night you can go to Palo or Remy, do that.
Yes.
But it's fun to do once. But then on to a very fun restaurant, which is Animator's Palate.
That is my favorite restaurant. I feel like that's definitely my favorite from all restaurants I've ever been on the cruise, because it is just a fun, playful thing. The food is delicious. Some people say it's their least favorite meal. It was my favorite meal. I remember the ravioli. That was delicious. Those appetizers, the tuna. And the fun, cool spin of Animator's Palette is during your meal, you get like these little papers passed out. Everybody draw their little characters. You're like, oh, you're drawing a cute little animated stick figure. And at the end of the night, they scan these stick figures and your characters brought into the show. You're in the show and you're just like, wow, I can't believe I drew that. And that is ugly, but I'm in there.
As long as my name isn't attached to it. So Animator's Palette has these interactive screens throughout the restaurant. And so, you know, just kind of like Enchanted Garden, like it changes from like daytime to nighttime. Throughout your meal, Animator's Palette, the sketches on the screens change from kind of like classic black and white muted color sketches and drawings to like full color animation. And then one of the nights you'll have this interactive experience where everybody draws something on a piece of paper on their table, and then it ends up getting like shown throughout the show. It's throughout the restaurant. It's super cool. And I would say this is something kind of like World of Marvel on the Wish and the Treasure, where there's kind of like an interactive experience compared to the other restaurants, which maybe feel like kind of more classic dining experiences. But yeah, food is great. Animator's Palette, it's super fun. Absolutely love rotational dining on Disney Cruise Line. It's fantastic. But sometimes if you're looking for a more upscale adult meal, there is also signature dining on Disney Cruise Line. So Palo, which is Italian themed, and Remy, which is French fine cuisine. These are both adult only restaurants. You do have to book them in advance or get on the wait list when you get on the ship, but absolutely fantastic meals. We had brunch at Palo on the Wish, and so good.
It's definitely my favorite dining of all. I know signature dining.
Yeah.
But for premium dining, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing for brunch. The pizzas, the pastas, the antipastas, the appetizers, everything was so delicious.
So good.
It was breakfast. It was Italian pizza. It was go hungry.
Please go hungry, because we were stuffed. And then they have brunch for both Palo and Remy. On the Wish, Remy is called Enchanted, but same idea, kind of French fine cuisine. But there is an upcharge for this. It's not included in the price of your sailing. But it's not crazy. Like I want to say that it was like $50 or $75 for each of us, and it's pretty much all you can eat when we had brunch at Palo. And then you can also buy drinks as well. And then for quick service, there is Cabanas, which is the main buffet on the ship. That's where you'll most likely eat breakfast and lunch. Tons of fantastic options. Do not miss out on the churro. Mickey waffles, usually the last day of the cruise. They will change your life. And then if you do want to have breakfast, like sit down breakfast, one of the rotational dining restaurants will have sit-down breakfast as well. If you want to do that, you can also order room service to your room for breakfast and fill out a card the night before, and they'll kind of bring like continental style breakfast in the morning, which is nice. And then there's also dining on the pool deck. So this is kind of like pizza, chicken tenders. I don't think they have taco. Well, they might have tacos now on the train, but it used to only be on the Wish and the Treasure. But yeah, kind of quick service food out on the pool deck. So tons of dining options. There is no shortage of eating on a Disney cruise.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like I should just brought sweatpants on the cruise, but I don't think I should.
Yeah, I know. It gets, yeah, you have to wear jeans at least one day,
yes.
Once a day to like just make sure that you're keeping things together. So that is dining on the Dream. Now let's move over to staterooms.
Yes, and I got to tour 3 staterooms, which was amazing. There's more than 3. I didn't get to see the inside with the window.
Ocean view.
The ocean view with the window, yeah. It's like a mix of the first one we're about to see and the second one, but let's talk about the interior stateroom. I checked it out. We always stayed on a not deluxe, on a ocean view veranda, which was amazing all the time. The room is spacious. The interior was a little more smaller.
In the interior stateroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interior staterooms, they don't have a window, right? They're inside like kind of the middle of the floor plan. But they are usually the most affordable, assuming that you book early. They actually can get a little expensive further on because there's less of them, and so just kind of like demand pricing. But you know, it has a bed, it has the kind of bunk bed situation, so it can sleep a family of 4. It does not have a split bathroom,
no.
Which we'll talk a little bit about, which is a benefit of the Ocean View deluxe rooms. But it does have a really cool feature.
Yeah. The little porthole is like it has a video camera outside, so you get to see outside. So you're not totally stuck inside this little room. You're not feeling claustrophobic. So you see like this little circle above your bed, and you see the outside as it's sailing. But little cute little characters will sometimes pop out in the background. So you probably have like Mickey flying around, or you got Aladdin on this magic carpet. So it kind of gives it a little magic or a little funness of you being inside. Honestly, it's kind of cute. I was like, oh, it's kind of cozy. I wouldn't mind it.
You definitely get good sleep.
Yes,
because there is no sunlight. But you know, it can be a really cost efficient option, and I think most people really enjoy interior staterooms. And again, like, you're only in your room as much as you want to be. You can be out on the, out on the deck doing activities. So you don't have to necessarily have a window or a veranda if you don't want to, or if you're trying to save some money.
Yeah. Moving on to the Ocean View veranda, the rooms we always stay in. Those things are amazing. Those rooms are spacious. Most importantly, have a separate bathroom and a separate shower.
Yeah, so there's a split bathroom, so there's a toilet and a sink in one, and then a shower and a sink in the other. So it's really nice for a family trying to get ready and
one's doing their hair on the other bathroom, also doing their hair. So it's really convenient having 2 mirrors with a sink, because it's a little tiny sometimes. It's a little tight. It's a little tight, yeah. Getting in between each other. The room also sleeps 4. It has the drop-down bed. They also have the couch that turns to a bed. And I will say this, these beds are so comfortable. I sleep like a baby on a DCL bed.
Yeah, I love
never been on the most comfortable bed. Even in a hotel, I'm just straight to sleep.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Also, the beds and all of the staterooms are raised, so you can't put your luggage underneath the bed.
Except for the concierge.
Oh, okay. Well, the concierge doesn't need it.
Yes.
All the other staterooms have it. So again, you have an interior stateroom, which talks about Ocean View, which is essentially has a porthole out looking outside, but does not have a veranda. And then there's a deluxe Ocean View with veranda, which is the one we've stayed in. There's also a deluxe family Ocean View with veranda, which has an additional 5th kind of pull-down bed from like a closet, so it's a little bit larger. I would say if you're a family of 4, you don't necessarily need the family for for the extra room, because it's really just like a closet that kind of takes up space. So it's really only if you need the extra bed, I would say. And then you get to the Mac Daddies, which is concierge. We've never stayed concierge, but John got to check out concierge
I got to
this time.
Experience concierge. I was like, this is like 4 Ocean View verandas rooms put into one. I was like, that's a room. That's a room. Oh, this is they have a dining room section in there, where a table where you could like sit down and dine in your stateroom. That is crazy. And then The bathroom is so luxurious. It was like, what the heck is going on in here? And then I was like, oh, this is it. There's just one bathroom. And then there's a split bathroom with another shower. It's like a full bathroom. It's insane. I want to stay.
That was a 1-bedroom suite?
Yeah, 1-bedroom suite.
Yeah. So they have kind of classic rooms, like ocean view rooms that don't have a veranda. They have suites. They have a funnel suite, which is like something crazy, like $30,000 a night or whatever. That has 2 floors. So there's if you want to go fancy, there are fancy options. But there's some benefits with concierge. One being that you get the earliest booking, and so particularly cabanas like on Lookout Key or Castaway Key are almost always taken up by concierge and the highest Castaway Club memberships. And then you also get access to the concierge lounge.
All right, so this was exclusive. Not many people get to tour this unless you get on concierge. So they actually gave us a freebie. They're like, all right, we're just gonna let you in real quick. Don't just in and out. I was like, all right, let's do it. And it is like Hercules-themed. It is amazing. I feel like God's lived there. It was so crazy.
You were on Mount Olympus.
I was literally on Mount Olympus, and there's like a big giant mural of Pegasus in the middle, just flying. I was like, this is so crazy. They offer free, well, not free, you paid for them. They offer included beverages, drinks, little breakfast snacks, or a place to hang out or lounge.
They have a private outdoor deck area. So tons of benefits of staying concierge, but it comes absolutely with a price tag for sure. So those are your options for staterooms on a Disney cruise line. The most inventory is ocean view with veranda. And so that's gonna be the most common room type. But again, the earlier you book, the more affordable it is going to be, and it's going to increase in price. We've also talked about guaranteed rates. So if you kind of wait till closer to a cruise sailing, you can also get guaranteed rates with restrictions where you kind of pay in full. You do not get to choose your room. We did this for the Disney Wish back in January. We booked like 3 weeks before we went. And it was fantastic. Like our room was great. It was a little like obstructed of a veranda, but it was still awesome.
It is still,
and it was like 30% off compared to what if we had chosen our room and done all of that. So no shortage of fantastic rooms. A couple notes about what room you're choosing. Lower and middle of the ship is going to have the least amount of movement for people who are worried about having motion sickness. I'd say some people want to avoid like the first floor right underneath the pool because that can sometimes be loud, but really there's no bad place to stay on a Disney cruise ship.
Absolutely. All right, moving on.
Activities.
There's
no shortage of activities on a Disney cruise. So let's talk a little bit about, again, some really distinguishing factors about Disney Cruise Line, the kids clubs, right? So there are kids clubs, including a nursery, and then 3 and up kids clubs.
There's so many names for them. It's like
Oceaneers Club, Vibe,
Edge.
We don't have kids.
Yes.
But we have toured the kids clubs, and our friends who have kids have absolutely used them. So the kids absolutely love the kids clubs. They are staffed by fantastic counselors. Kids often will want to get away from their parents and go to the kids club as opposed to having to be forced to go there. Tons of activities. It's absolutely a distinguishing factor. There's no casinos on Disney cruise ships because the kids clubs take up and they've used that space for kids clubs. But what it also means is if you're doing adults only or you want some adults only time, there's plenty of space that's not just overrun by children because they have their own space that they're enjoying. And there are some adult only spaces, both out on the pool deck. There's an adult only pool and bar and coffee shop. But then also what's kind of distinguishing about the Fantasy and the Dream is they have an adults only section where all of the bars and kind of adult entertainment are located compared to the Wish and Treasure where it's more spread out throughout the ship. I think there's benefits of both, but we really liked it on the Fantasy. And then John got to tour the Dream section, which is similar layout, but slightly different themed bars, right?
So you got bars like Pink's, you got Nightlife. I forgot the name of the pub, but the
English pub.
It's
an Irish pub on the Fantasy.
Irish and it's English, but very beautiful. Similar layout, similar vibe. That was definitely our favorite spot to hang out there. Don't forget about your beer card. You could pay a $5 fee for a bigger mug, and you just keep that throughout your whole cruise, and you get it at a discount price. So don't forget to get one of those.
Yeah, check out our Wish video about the beer card. There's usually a champagne bar, a pub, kind of like a standard bar that's in like the middle. That's kind of like a round bar that kind of is like a pass-through space where people can grab a drink. There is a screen bar, which is essentially like skylines on this kind of like changing screen in the background. Which on the Fantasy it was Europe.
Yes.
And on the Dream it's the US.
It's a global major cities, and then on the Wish is the
Hyperspace Lounge.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Which is pretty cool. And then on the Treasure, that's the Haunted Mansion bar, I believe.
And I cannot wait to try that one out. Yes.
December. We're going on a very merry time cruise on the Treasure. Cannot wait. So the adults only section is really great. And then there's also like a back area that has like a place for like silent disco, trivia, dancing. It's the Tube on the Fantasy. And you said it's, what on the Dream?
The D Lounge.
Yeah.
Also, the D Lounge has been upgraded. Their whole wall is one giant screen, so they have multiple. And this is the thing now. If there's ever a football game that's going on during your cruise, you will not miss it.
Yep.
The game's always played in the background. They would have trivia actively going on and have the game set on the other screen, because the whole wall is a screen and there's just multiple TVs there. It is crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that. So the D Lounge is kind of like a multi-purpose area. They'll have learn to sketch different characters. They'll have trivia. They'll have game nights. So that's another space that's on both the Fantasy and the Dream. So there's just no shortage of activities on a Disney cruise. It is just so much fun. And it's like the busiest, most relaxing time you'll ever have. I feel like that's the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
Because like you can go in the Navigator app and there's just so many different activities. You can go watch a movie, you can go watch a show, you can go do trivia, you can learn to draw Stitch. But you can also kind of like do it at your own pace. You like kind of sign up for things that maybe you want to look at later, and then when the time comes, you're like, actually, I just want to order some chicken tenders and lay in bed and watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
1 through 6.
At 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So no shortage of activities. Obviously, there are the pool decks. There is a fitness area, Senses Spa, and salon. And then there's some other kind of cool activities like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique you got to see for the first time.
Yeah, that was cool.
So your kids can get dressed up like a princess, or for pirate night, get dressed up like a pirate. There's a barber shop. Just tons of stuff to do on a Disney cruise.
All right, so that's pretty much all I got to tour on the Disney Dream. We needed to hurry off the ship so people can start boarding. So I had a lot of FOMO leaving the ship. I was like, gosh, these guys are about to go on the most amazing time of their lives.
Kind of happy I wasn't there, because I probably would have tried to stow away somewhere. Honestly, yeah.
So it was very sad leaving. And then,
it's always sad leaving.
It's always sad leaving, regardless. And that was the whole tour. It was amazing. I'm happy Disney gave us the opportunity to go do this tour. And it was just great. I'm ready for another cruise.
I know, I can't wait. We're going in December. Who knows? There may be one before then, but probably not. So, Disney Cruise Line, it's fantastic. Again, we've been on the Fantasy and the Wish. Now you've been on the Dream and checked it out, which is very similar to the Fantasy. It's porting out of Fort Lauderdale, mostly doing Bahamian and Caribbean cruises. A lot of 5 nights, which is a really nice, I think, length of a trip for like a good vacation without it being too long. Got to see Brightline going down to Fort Lauderdale from Orlando and back. Got to check out the partner hotel. So I think it was a really good trip. I'm kind of jealous I did not get to go, but that's okay because you didn't get to go on the cruise sailing, so I didn't miss out on too much. But if you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you are looking to plan your next fantastic vacation, please reach out to us at magicalmustacheman.com. We'd love to help you plan your next magical vacation. We specialize in Disney, Universal, cruise lines, and all-inclusive resorts at no cost to you. And you can go on an amazing cruise, and we can help you plan it from start to finish. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Bye.